So, what exactly is the state of gaming nowadays? How do video gamers feel about the video games that are coming out? We're going to talk about that today.
Whoa!
And this is something that has been brought to attention by a creator of a very beloved franchise. But in order to talk about this and really broach this subject and everything that he had to say, I wanted to bring on a friend of the channel, a friend to me, and I think our first time doing a video together. We got NerdSlap with us today.
How you doing, man? Thanks for inviting me for this opportunity. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about this. It's gonna be an interesting topic.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. Whether or not we will agree with each other, with him, that remains to be seen. And you, the audience, this is kind of what we're doing. It's almost like a round table with you as being the other half. So, if you haven't heard about it, Tim Cain, the guy, one of the co-creators of Fallout, the original Fallout. You know how much I love it because we did when we first started the channel. They came out with a TV show, and I was just like, I'm on it. I know all the lore.
Yeah, I was really excited when I heard that show was getting released because like I've only played a little bit of the games. I haven't played all of them, but from what I have played, I'm like, oh, I was really excited for the show.
How did you feel after it ended?
Well, I know some people didn't like it. Some of those people were more invested into the lore, but someone like me who had some knowledge but not a whole lot, I was like, it was pretty good. I gave this show a solid 8 out of 10, honestly, just cuz I don't have that background. If I was a Fallout aficionado, it probably would have been a lot different.
No, you never know. It was enjoyable to an extent, which I mean, I gave it as many passes as I could. It is actually getting into season two that's coming up pretty soon. But that's just kind of put you in the mindset of what we are talking about, at least the body of work this person that we're about to talk about right now. His name is Tim Cain. He's the original Fallout creator, and he's weighing in on the current state of video game discourse. Questions between himself. This was a solo stream. He was basically just talking to his audience and pontificating out loud. Do players even nowadays know what they even like? He also says that people love to talk about what they hate, and some of them almost never even mention what it is they would prefer instead. So, at first blush, it seems like he's asking very legitimate questions. What would you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, just off of that alone, it seems like he genuinely wants to know, but I have a feeling as we go on, it's going to reveal something not so nice, let's just say.
I did not coach you at all, and I didn't even tell you that. Not necessarily, man.
I mean, it's just the vibe I'm getting, because nowadays when somebody comes out and says something like that, at first glance, it looks like it could be a positive thing, but it most of the time is not. But
There is
we'll see.
often a lot of backhanded stuff whenever, especially old creators come back and they give like full fledged interviews.
Hmm.
So, in offering his take on the current, more often than not, negative state of video game discourse, original Fallout creator Tim Cain has found himself questioning whether most players truly know what they want based on their own experiences. Now, an industry veteran who, in addition to his work on that RPG, one of my favorite video games of all time, Dragon Age is going to take the cake, but I'm also a huge fan of Fallout. He's also notably served as a designer on Pillars of Eternity and the director for The Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds 2 was just announced at the Game Awards.
That's right. I forgot about that. That totally forgot about that. Oh, I was just gonna say it should be interesting because I've only played snippets of the first one, but it's an interesting concept.
I know the little trailer for Outer Worlds 2 looked absolutely banger, and I had no idea about it. And everyone's like, "Oh, that game's really fun, though."
Yeah, every so often you can pick it up for free on Epic. They usually have it in the free games rotation every so often. So definitely keep an eye out for that.
Well, I'm going to be hounding that as soon as we're done with this video. But recently, this same guy who is still in the industry and still putting out things that have like massive hype and are like really good sellers, he just went to his personal YouTube channel and filmed this video, uploaded it for everyone, basically talking to his audience. It's like, hi, everyone, it's me, Tim. Well, of course, because they're following you. Not a great, maybe not good with introductions. But he starts it out with a question: do game players even know what they like? And from there, he explained how he was inspired to make this video after both hearing a comedian discuss how it's hard to get feedback from an audience because their laughs or boos do not specifically communicate what they like or dislike about a given joke. And he also brought in people like George R. R. Martin. And this is where we first start to differentiate, because for me, it's a great question at first. And but what he's doing now, he's taking that and applying it to stand-up comedians who, like, they don't know if the audience is actually with them or against them. Because if you ever go to like Showtime at Apollo, it sounds like they're booing, but that's actually when they're really hyping you up, because they're just like, it's almost racist to say, but this is what they say. They're like, woo, 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 woo. You
Yeah,
can't tell if that's a boo or if they're like really getting you. So I mean, that's understandable. However, with video games, I feel like that's completely, it's, I wouldn't say non sequitur is not the word, but like that is not the metric that you should be using. And you can't make that correlation between how your video game does and the comments and everything that you get on it through the internet versus how your stand-up comedy show did.
exactly. And just kind of going off of him saying about the little snippet about the laughs or the booing, I feel like if the person giving feedback is a real gamer, they're going to go into detail about things that they did or didn't like. That's typically what happens. If you truly like the game or whatever it is that they're making, you're going to give honest feedback. Now, granted, there are those type of people that do just oh, this game sucks, this game's boring, but they don't ever go into detail. I'm sorry, but they're not real gamers, so it's the real ones are going to be very descriptive about what they like and don't like.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Just by that same like disingenuous correlation, he brings in Game of Thrones George R. R. Martin, where the author opined he's got so much time to do everything other than write.
Yeah,
Social media is ruled by anti-fans who would rather talk about the stuff they hate than the stuff they love and delight in dancing on the graves of anyone whose film has flopped. Bullshit. I'm calling bullshit right here. That's just because he gets so much flack because people actually want his stuff and he makes every excuse in the world not to give the fans what they want.
he's had plenty of time. He has had plenty of time to finish, but he won't. But no, like, it's not that we would rather hate on things. It's we want good content, whether it's games, movies, whatever. We want good content. And lately we haven't been getting that. We've been getting terrible, terrible content. We've been getting dog shit.
Yeah, and I think it's less that we would like I wouldn't call myself an anti-fan. The fact that I'm so vitriolic and hateful and disgusted about some of this stuff is because I was a huge super fan of this franchise, this IP. And when you go and you just finger fuck it to death, when you shove that giant fist up there, of course I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to talk about every reason why I hate it because I used to love it and you ruined it.
Exactly. Like when they started going downhill and like destroying like Star Trek and Star Wars, that's when I started to get pissed because I grew up watching those franchises and I absolutely loved them. Like I was obsessed with those as a kid. And seeing what they've done to it in the past few years, it's like fuck you. You've taken something that I loved and just completely destroyed it.
Mhm.
It's awful. They need to all be fired.
Yeah. Now, by that same token, the last part of that little quote, delight in dancing on the grades of anyone whose film is flopped. I disagree, but also can agree to some extent as well. Because whenever you take a beloved franchise, something that I love, something that I hold near and dear to my heart, you take it completely, twist it around, change its entire foundation, and just shit on all the lore that was already there, and you make it bad. I love to see it fail. So, like, but you did that to yourself. That's not the fans taking delight in the franchise going down. It's just like, well, we couldn't do anything about it anyway, so we want it to fail because it would have succeeded had you kept it the way it was.
Exactly. I mean, let's be honest. Whether it's Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Star Trek, Fallout, if you stick to the source material, you stick to the things that work, the things that the fans love about the franchise, you're going to do well. But once you start changing it, once you start throwing in all this extra DEI bullshit, it ruins it. And nothing good ever comes from a committee of people getting together saying, all right, let's make this, but we can't have this, we can't have this, we can't say this, we need to put this in there. It ruins all creativity. It's TV shows, movies, games, it's always better when there's like one or two lead creative minds on it and they're delegating what they want their vision to be. That's the key to it.
I agree with you on that one, man. These reflections, which I think are I think they're flawed reflections, but since he is using them basically as his basis for these next questions as he pontificates, he said, led him to realize that he's been seeing a rise over the decades of my career in how games are discussed in person online, which is a prioritization of the bad features over the good. People love to talk about what they hate, and some of them almost never even mention what it is they like or what they would instead prefer. I think this I think this sentence is horrible and it's jumping an entire bridge of thought. Like he's jumping to a conclusion without asking the question that would lead him to that conclusion, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. It's not that we want to we love to talk about what we hate. It it's that's all we can talk about because it's just constantly dog shit after dog shit of whatever they're putting out. Like when was the last time you had a movie, a game, a show, whatever that was just so absolutely like mind blowing that it was like, all right, this is going to be around forever. Like this is going to be something that people talk about 20 years from now. Like really the last kind of like franchise like that I can think of is like Lord of the Rings or, the OG Star Wars.
It
Those
would have
those
been
had
Game of
magic.
Thrones if he had finished the books.
Mm-hmm. It would have been, but he wanted to take his time. He wanted to just dick around and sit around with his dick in his hands, and he's gonna learn.
hmm Another thing I don't like about this quote is what they hate, and some of them almost never even mention. Well, you're casting a wide fucking net whenever you're saying that. That's basically lumping everything in. But just because maybe, and we'll talk about this later, I guess we could just go ahead and broach the subject now. Um, hate and maybe not even hate, maybe that's not it, but like roasting and deriding things, pointing out flaws gets a lot more views than hyping something up. But that depends on what you're hyping up, though, in my opinion.
Exactly. And I mean, I'll say this. I have seen that recently a lot of this content that's coming out, if we can even call it content, it's been very good for the YouTuber side of the community, because it allows all of you guys to make those videos that you guys make and you guys get views from it, which is great. Now, yes, I want better quality content, and I want to start seeing people talk about things that they love again. You know, it's like, oh man, I went and saw this movie and absolutely loved it. Like I would love to start seeing that again, but they got to give it to us.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of that real quick, man, that's exactly what we don't want to be negative all the time. The only reason why we're negative is we're talking about things we're passionate about. And those things have turned negative. They used to be a positive force, but they have been twisted and corrupted into a negative experience for us. We would love to be hyping things up that we love and have, whether it be childhood memories or just fond memories of things that
Mhm.
we grew up reading, things we grew up watching, IPs and characters and actors that we used to love and adore. Whenever you turn them all into sad sacks, of course, we're going to be angry about it. We're going to fight back. So give us something good that we can hype up, and we will stop taking down everything that you've already taken down. We're just following the trend right here.
Exactly, exactly. That's all we're doing. It, until we start getting good content, just keep roasting it. We'll keep roasting all of Hollywood. I mean, you get what you deserve.
Hmm. Now he does go a little bit further into that right here, as basically what we just talked about, monetized channels and rage bait getting. Rage bait, I think, is also a disingenuous term. I'm probably going to say disingenuous a lot because it's oversimplifying and not actually getting down to the crux of what the real issue is. And a lot of these guys have a really hard time with that. So they just like oversimplify and lump everyone into a box.
Yeah, and I mean it's easier to blame everything on the fans than it is to take responsibility. And that's what they always seem to do is they always blame the fans. They never want to take responsibility and admit that they make shitty content.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure that this next part is, oh, it actually is still part of the quote.
Oh,
So this is him having a moment of clarity. He just says that, but says, but it doesn't really explain forums or comment sections where the people who are leaving the comments have no stake in how many people read their comment. So he kind of just self owns himself. He talks
interesting.
about it being the monetized channels and like, but it's still happening in forums and comment sections where the interaction doesn't matter. It's people just expressing their thoughts. Interesting.
Makes you think maybe you should start listening to those people. Maybe they have some honest feedback.
Yeah, maybe they do. He immediately tries to weasel out of that, though. You still find that complaints about features are on the rise and constructive feedback saying, I wish they'd done this instead of I like this in my games is on the decline. Oh, the first time I read this article and whenever I watched his little video, I was seething and just like talking out loud, almost like yelling at the screen. Do you ever have Q&As? You know how a lot of people they have Q&As. They open it up for people to actually come on and discuss, use their own actual voice because trolls are abundant.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes it's fun to troll. I mean, I don't do it very often, but it's fun to troll.
Sometimes.
How much do you take it seriously whenever you see these comments and complaints? Why don't you talk to the actual customers? Why don't you actually open yourself up to have an actual talk and debate with them rather than expecting someone to just post something and you're going to take that at face value? No, actually talk to the person. Actually talk to the person who was playing your video game, who has actual thoughts on it, actual feedback. But you have to. It's time consuming. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort. But if you actually wanted to know the questions, the answers to these questions that you're asking yourself, that's kind of the road that you need to go down in order to have authenticity and stuff.
And that's the issue is a lot of them they don't want to take that time. They want to put it out, let it be done with, and they don't want to improve on it. They just want to keep doing what they're doing, and it's not working. but they don't seem to understand.
He also kind of seems like this is what he wants from the complaints and quote unquote constructive feedback. He wishes that they would say, I wish they had done this instead of, I like this certain insert mechanic here in my games. Bro, what exactly are you asking for? You're asking for free, like almost beta testing. Well, you also do that with your games.
Yeah.
From people that you know have actually played it. You've already got that. Are you not paying attention to it? And when the
No, they're
finished
not.
game comes out, you didn't pay attention to it. So when you have a whole lot of people bitching, like you want people to say, I wish they had done this instead of what y'all already put out. But you should have done this pre-planning way before you ever started development. That's kind of your job.
Yeah, but that's the thing is a lot of these people they don't want to do their jobs to the full extent. They just want to half-ass it and just do the bare minimum. They just want to put the bare minimum out there because that's good enough for them. So it needs to be good enough for us.
Yeah, well, the thing with this also is that he's expecting like focus group interaction, but these are people who have already shelled out money for the game and find that they have a lot of problems with it. So they're airing out their concerns, sometimes not with the most tact, sometimes not the most nicest way of saying it. But these people have already spent money on your game. That focus group, that was your time way before you ever released it.
Yeah.
What you get afterwards is all your own doing.
You get what you deserve. If you don't listen to the feedback of your fans, that they give you constructive criticisms of things that they want, they don't want, but if you don't listen to it, it's not our fault. That's on you guys. Like you're the ones that didn't listen.
Or didn't do market research or
Exactly.
even start it in the first place, because games do take a long time to develop.
That's true.
All right, so he goes on to say the weird thing about this is I see people complaining about features that they can 100% absolutely ignore. I feel like this is a straw man thing. This is the only reason why he's bringing up this argument is just something else to bitch about.
Oh yeah.
If other people are bitching, then I can bitch too about what they're bitching about. That's the way that statement completely 100% comes off to me. Do you see anything different from it?
Well, okay, here's my first question. So he wants to say that he sees people complaining about all these features and stuff that they can ignore. Why not give some examples? Like I was just kind of briefly reading through this, and it doesn't seem like he's giving any examples. It just seems like he's just talking just to talk.
Yeah. The top surgery scars in Dragon Age Veilguard, you can 100% absolutely ignore it. But why'd you feel the need to put it in there in the first place? It's because you wanted people to use it. So people can, if it's in your game, people could complain about it because they fucking spent money on it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like if I spent $70 on a game and that was being, forced down my throat every time I played the game, I would be pretty pissed. I would want a refund, even if it was a year after I bought it, Like I wouldn't want to play that game. I would not want to support that company because it goes against my morals.
Mhm. Yeah, this is where he kind of starts to blame people, can't seem to bring themselves to not use it. And that's when they turn around and say, well, it's the designer's fault. He never should have put it in there in the first place. This is childhood. But come on, bro. You actually made some really good games. Why do you got to stoop to this level?
The money corrupted them.
Might be. Now he was I'm just going to leave that. We could just sit there and complain about him and rip him apart all day, but let's just go on. I've said before in many videos, if players would only talk more about what they want instead of what they don't want, you'll find this is a recurring theme. He says this multiple times, and this is not just like a repetition of of the same paragraph. He says it multiple times and just keeps going back to the same point, never providing another answer, but instead blaming people and then always reaching the conclusion that he should go back to this original question, which means he hasn't solved it.
I feel like I've heard or I've seen him say this like 3 times already.
Yeah,
So
he is.
like you weren't kidding. Like he says this a lot.
You ready to go down to more blaming? Because he just asked himself the same question again.
Oh,
It's like, oh, trying to make up examples is what he's doing now. So this is the coping. This is the coping stage. Okay, I know you don't want fast travel, but what do you want? Do you want more random encounters? Do you want a paid fast travel? I wish people would tell me things like that. So now we're gonna have to, repeat ourselves. It's like you had time for your focus groups, man. You had time for your research and development.
they had plenty of time, but they didn't listen. And look what happened.
And his video games are still doing good. I think it's just the state of things. He can't wrap his head around it.
Yeah. And granted, yes, the world has changed quite a bit since Fallout has released, but it in some ways it's still kind of the same, Gamers know what they want. They want good story, they want good gameplay. It's very easy. Don't force a message down our throats, and more than likely we're going to like the game. It's not that hard. It's a very easy formula. And a lot of them just they don't understand it anymore.
Mhm. I'm just going to wrap up the last of this little thing because he goes on to finally put the nail, in my opinion, in his own coffin. And by the way, brother, if you disagree on anything that I'm saying, feel free to fight back. He goes on and he's talking about like he wishes people would be like the comment section and the reviews and criticism would be more like offering solutions rather than just saying this shit sucks. Yeah, but that's not the internet. Know where you are.
Right.
These people paid. You're not paying them. They paid you and they're mad. But enemies are so he just makes more equivocations. Enemies are dumb. Stop giving us dumb enemies. It's not like dev teams can go in and go, "Hey, programmer, can you click the checkbox for smart enemies?" See, now you're making fun of the intellect of the people who are just venting their frustration.
Yeah, that's another thing that just shows you that they have no idea who their audience is. They don't know what their audience is like, and they don't care. That's just proof right there. Oh, we can't just check a box. Like, yeah, we know. We know
Duh.
it takes time to build a game. We're not retarded.
I feel like this is a giant disconnect. And in my heart of hearts, I actually feel like he's not in bad faith. Like he's just talking out loud, but he's not on the same wavelength as the people who are buying his games
Mm-hmm.
or video game culture in general nowadays.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel. I feel like he really does want to know, but he comes from a corporate mindset. And so he's thinking as if people will respond to him corporately, maybe not fully aware of how the internet works or the reasoning behind why the internet works this way.
Yeah. And I mean, he may not be asking all the right questions. If he's just asking very broad, generic questions, you're not really going to get the answers you're looking for. You got to be very specific too with your questioning. You want specific answers. You need to give us specific questions. And I'll just tell you, in my experience, like whenever I'm looking at games or movies or shows or whatever, more often than not, the reviews that are from like true fans, you can spot them right away because it'll be like 5 paragraphs long and it'll be like, this is what I didn't like. This is what I did like. It would be cool if you put this in there. It's very easy to tell when true fans are giving feedback. Because, like I said, you got all those trolls that go around. It's just, oh, give us smart enemies, or this game's boring, this game's dumb. They're just trolling, or they just have nothing better to do, or they just don't know how to articulate a thought. Hard to know because this generation, but more often than not, you're going to have true fans telling you exactly what you want to know. You just have to listen.
Mhm. Yeah, and just to round off that little point, his point and your point as well. And it's something that I just put together. I wasn't thinking about this earlier when I was presenting it. That was a pre-recorded video. That wasn't a live stream.
Oh,
It was pre-recorded, so he didn't have live chat there while he's asking these questions to himself to have actual like I talked about Q&As earlier. I was like, open yourself up to a Q&A. I feel like he did a live stream, but at the end of that article it says this pre-recorded video. So he didn't even have live chat there to test him and question him, hear from your fans the answers to the questions you're asking yourself. Come on, man. We're out here. We love video
gotta be
games.
honest, it kind of sounds like a pussy to me. Just saying, it's some cowardly shit right there. Like,
If
you
you
say you want feedback, but then you don't even give live chat. Like, what?
and there is a possibility he wasn't even thinking about that. He just wanted to gauge reaction on it. There's a possibility
That's
because
true.
he is an older guy. Do I fully believe that? No. But if you actually want constructive criticism, open yourself up to a live feed.
Yeah. There,
I mean,
and
obviously no troll. I mean, obviously no like spammers or anything like that. But like, you have to talk to the people in real time. If you want
yep.
these
And
questions answered, you're not going to be able to answer them yourself, because if you could, you wouldn't be asking them in the first place. You need to ask the people who can give you the answers that you actually want to know.
exactly. And there's more than just one place to do this nowadays. Like, yes, you have YouTube, but you also have Twitter, Instagram, freaking Rumble, Kick, even. Like, you have so many options of getting feedback. It's not just limited to one or two options. It's not like you have to go to the town square, put up a paper on the freaking message board, and wait a few weeks for people to respond. Like, no, you can get feedback and you can get what you want to know pretty quickly nowadays. But a lot of people, a lot of them, they just don't want to listen. That's the thing. They think that what they did is good enough, and that's all it needs to be.
In your ivory tower. Well, I mean, I'm about done with that. I almost called it an interview, but like with that video and talking about it, I think we've covered all of his subjects because he does repeat himself. He repeats his questions quite a bit. And I think we've given him plenty to think about. And I will tag him whenever I put this out tomorrow. Just
Good.
so if he wants to see like some gamers talking about answers to his questions. Fair game, man. Nobody here hates you. I actually love your games.
Oh yeah, like they're great games. Like, I have no hate towards them at all. It's just, if you really do truly want feedback from the gamers, we're giving it to you. Open your ears, man. It's out there.
Agreed. Anything else you got to say? Thank you for coming on, man. I mean, I know
Hey,
we see each other every Monday, but still, you're on our side now.
oh yeah. I think it's safe to say that I've been radicalized these past couple years, and it's been a great experience. I've loved getting to know everyone, meet everybody out, in the GCA, and it's this little corner of the internet we have is just, it's wonderful. There's always something new. Someone's always coming out with a new project or some kind of great announcement, and it's great. And uh I had fun coming on and doing this, man, and I hope to do it again soon. Thank you for having me on.
For sure, man. And for everybody who's staying around with us this long in the audience, if you have other things to say, if you have other questions, if you want to talk to Tim Kaine himself, um, not that I have a direct line to him or anything like that, but I'm going to be trying to get in touch with him to see if he wants to have more of a discussion about these things, because these are things that it seems like he cares about, and we damn sure know that we care about it. So we can come together. If you have anything to say, leave it down in the comment section below. If you like what you see on this channel, please subscribe. GCA is full of awesome people. Until next time, this is Malty.
This is NerdSlap.
Hell yeah, man. Y'all have a great night.
Have a good one.
Bye.
See ya.